If your practice is at the $1 million mark and you're trying to get to the $2 million mark, you're probably seeing some of the friction that typically occurs in that leap. In this episode, I want to share 3 key things that need to be in place that separates the practices at $1 million to the practices at $2 million. Welcome to the Business of Hearing podcast, the podcast for private practice hearing care clinic owners that want to grow phenomenal practices, grow their recognition, reputation, and revenue, and become the obvious choice for the types of patients that they want to attract. And I'm very aware that this episode is focused on quality over quantity, right? This is not going to get many people watching, but if you're watching right now and you're at I'm at the 1 mil, I've worked my ass off to get here, but now I'm stuck in this, how do I get to 2? Everything I do doesn't feel like I'm making that progress. It feels like a ceiling. I'm a little bit stuck of what I need to do next. Then I'm really hoping that this episode, is very, very helpful for you. Because over the past 9 years, we've worked with 80 plus practices across North America and the world of various sizes, right? From sub $1 million to $1 million a month and nearly everything in between. And one of the biggest areas where I see many, many practices get stuck is between the $1 to $2 million. Because what I've observed is what takes you from 0 to 1 is very different than what you need to get from 1 to 3. Fundamentally, there's almost 2 big distinctions that occur. Because what gets you to $1 million essentially is you launch, you're the one who's working their backside off, you're making all the magic happen. This is you getting the business to $1 million. You may have some support staff, you may have front office, you may even have another provider that's supporting you, but you are the absolute rock star of that business. And then you reach 1 million and you're at capacity. And then you then need to go, okay, how do I build out the team? And it's not an easy thing to do. And that's very much what I want to talk about in the 3 things that I want to share in order to shine as much light on this and identify the key things that you need to do to go to that next step of your business growth. And I think we should just get into these. The first one is you need to go from being the star player to the coach. Now, going back to what I've just said, from 0 to 1, you are the star. You are the star player. You are the best at everything. You're the one that all the patients love. You're the one that helps you collect the majority of the revenue in the business from the conversations that you have with patients. If a patient's got an issue, you're going to be the first person to solve it. You're always going to be the hero. You're the face, you're the name. Many of your patients would even say that's Joe Smith's practice, that's Debbie Smith's practice, whatever it may be. It's not that's ABC Hearing, right? It's very much you that becomes the star player of it. Now, you reach a ceiling at around the $1 million mark, right? Where you're seeing as many patients as you can. You're on the brink of somewhat of a burnout. And to push to the next revenue, you can't clone and duplicate your efforts. And even by hiring another provider, typically, you may have experienced, it doesn't get you there. This isn't a people problem. This is your role in the business problem. Because what you need to do is pivot from being, I am the star player, to I am now the coach of the team that we're building in order to help them become the star players of the future. Now, I say this as somebody that relates to it. I was the star player in Orange and Grey for a long time, it felt like, and now I'm playing a coaching role in order to support our team so they can be the star players. And I'm not saying this as the best at it. I've got a long way to go, and I'm very guilty of trying to jump in and be the hero in too many situations that causes so many knock-on effects and issues across the business. So I get my wrist slapped a lot as a result of it. But this pivot is hard, especially if you're a helper. And I think it takes one to know one. The majority of this industry are helpers. We got into the business because we like helping people. And as a result, anybody who needs help, we want to fly in and be the person that helps them. But this transition to coach means that you now need to take the things that you've learned that allowed the business to get from 0 to 1 million, knowing during that process, you've cared about the business more than any employee ever will. Pull out the things that can be taught and trained to the others around you and start to build a team that is more focused on here's the way that we do things rather than this is my way of doing it. You just catch up and almost be my support act. That is a difficult transition. Best place to start, Just document the way that you do things. Start to hand accountability to others in the team and remove this from you always being the person that will catch them if they make an error. Give them accountability. Most people say they want it. Many people actually don't want you give it them. But these are the key things that you now need to start looking at is how do I become coach? How do I not become star player? That transition isn't clean. It's not you wake up one Monday and you're coach, but on Friday you were the star player. This is going to be gradual. But if I was you, and this feels counterproductive, if you've got other providers in place and you're still the star player, I'd be considering, can I take a day away from patient care, transfer more of those patients to my team, and use the extra day, not on admin, on coaching, on leading the business, on training and supporting the team in order to grow them into star players. You then can go to 3 days to 2 days, wherever you feel comfortable, but start moving your efforts, your focus from being the star player to being the coach to train your next group of star players. The practices that have gone on to $4, $5, $6 million, very few of them see patients naturally. What they now do is lead the business, set the values of the business, set the vision of the business, and then this is coaching the business and coaching the people in the business in order to naturally perform at their highest level. Difficult thing to do, but such a fundamental step, because if you don't, all you're going to do is scale a business that is always dependent on you. And as a result of that, the small problems become big problems the bigger the business gets. If there's issues right now that you solve every problem, when the problems get bigger and the problems become more and more, your life's just not going to become very enjoyable, even if the business is making significantly more money. Number 2, this is all about systemization of sales. The biggest gap that I see between practices that get to $1 million and then get to 2+ is the sales process doesn't just become what goes on in the owner's mind. Like the way you've sold right now is great. That's your way. It's done a great job. You've moved forward. You've made a lot of progress. However, if you're hiring a team now in order to take over that sales and take over the decision-making process they're helping patients to navigate, this is where some systemization needs to come in. This is where you need to build a process for how they do it. Now, that could be as simple as fixed pricing sheets that is like, here are the exact options, and this is nice and clean and clear for patients to understand. Or it's a more detailed presentation process that you help navigate patients through. But training your team to take on a systemized sales approach is going to be the key way that you can scale without constantly you having to rescue the day. Most practices don't have this, especially at the stage you're at, if you're watching this at the $1 million-ish stage. But looking at how you can start to systemize and process the presentation and sales process will all of a sudden allow you to retreat out of that and build something that if you're not selling, it's no longer the provider's issue, it's the process issue. As long as they're following the process, you grow, you improve the process, and you then have more control on your numbers outside of trying to inspire and motivate an individual to do better based on their mood than they did yesterday. So like looking at how you can systemize the sales process is going to be the key thing that will be a distinction between where you're at now and almost doubling the revenue of your practice and being set up for more growth from there. So sorry to interrupt this episode. Just want to highlight Hello David, the book that I've been working on for the past 2 years, has just become available. It's in Amazon and all the main bookshops. If you're an independent business, and that book outlines exactly what you need to do in order to outsmart many of the industry Goliaths, fight above your weight class, and implement the marketing framework that has added tens of millions of dollars of growth to real practices across the world that have implemented exactly what this book shares. In order to get your copy, search it on Amazon, Hello David. Go to hellodavidbook.com, grab your copy, and let me know what you think. The third one, this is a big one, and this is marketing maturity. Look, what got you from 0 to 1 is you. It's your name, it's your reputation, it's you hustling like crazy, it's you doing amazing work and then referrals grow. If you started this practice having worked elsewhere, then maybe patients followed and your name followed from there. But what gets you from 1 to 2 to 3+ is now a little more maturity in your marketing. This isn't just your name has now opened a practice and they're doing great work, therefore referrals are growing. That is going to hit a little bit of a ceiling. You now need to almost put your big boy pants on or your big girl pants on and look at, okay, how do I actually build this to be a business that attracts patients outside of people knowing me previously or hearing about me from a friend? And that is, dare I say, the foundations that I've just written in the book that has been released recently. Hello, David, is like, how do you get clarity on who you're for? How do you look like the option? How do you ensure that all your marketing is naturally right to ensure that you're attracting the types of patients that you want? Because doing what you've done is not going to get you to beyond where you're at now. Like, what gets you here is not going to get you there. And that cannot be more true in marketing. I've seen it. The practices that we typically work with are at that $1 million frustration point, and then we help them get the maturity in place in order to grow from there. But just doing more and more of what you're doing, you're probably feeling that ceiling. You may do some paid ads, you may make some adjustments, you may update your website, and it's not happening. You need marketing maturity, an actual framework that is built for moving practices forward, that has generated tens of millions of dollars of growth for other practices, that clearly works and attracts more of the patients that you want. But if this is where you're stuck at the $1 million, hopefully what I'm saying is ringing true, because I've seen a lot of practices in your exact situation. I know the puzzles that you're facing, and I know that no matter how hard you push, just feels like you've got this ceiling that you can't smash through. Fundamentally, comes down to turn to coach rather than being star player. It means that you've got to get your sales process systemized as much as possible. And it means fundamentally that you need to add some more maturity to your marketing. You now need to actually do it properly rather than just getting by saying we're spending very little and it's all working great. It's now a stage where you have to market the business rather than just you're doing, you've opened your own clinic, you're now selling hearing aids, whatever it may be. Those three things are the biggest things that are holding you back. You focus on them, you'll start to see some progress from there, and that ceiling will start to feel a bit like a glass ceiling. You'll see through it and be able to smash through it eventually. But hopefully that's helpful. I get the point of friction. You're right. It's a really challenging stage of growth, and it's no surprise that not many practices get beyond the stage you're at now. And it's because you've got to unlearn the things that have got you here and change the way that you're doing things. And I hope that today's episode has given you a little bit of transparency and insight on exactly what that is. Hope that was helpful. I'll be back again next week with another episode. Appreciate your ears, appreciate your attention. Please subscribe if you find this helpful. And I did mention the Hello David book. It is available at hellodavidbook.com, available on Amazon. But that shares the exact marketing framework that we've learned over the past 9 years from helping lots of practices to break through the stage you're at right now. Speak to you soon.